Okay, my screen is perfectly visible and I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice. So, in previous session we discussed about control flow statements. Control flow statements. So in that we first started with that's called conditional statements. Conditional statements. तो उसके बाद हमने पढ़ा iterative statements. Iterative statements. So by conditional statements I mean these if, else and other things, and iterations mean where we study about loops. In loops we study two things. We study a for loop and a while loop. Okay, तो for loop में हमने कहा था we call it sometimes definite iteration and it is called indefinite iterations because while loop में हमें खुद नहीं पता होता कि कितनी बार हम ये loop चलाने वाले हैं, and sometimes we want a certain condition to be met, then only we want to terminate the while loop. Okay, I think this was clear. So in order to test the understanding, so I'll just ask you few questions probably and maybe you can answer this. Can you read this code snippet and say how many times will the hello get printed? I'll just give you maybe. So how many times should the hello be printed here? This is the first question. So I'll give you probably a minute or so to think. People are joining so far and just type. This is the question and I want you to tell me how many times will the hello be printed here. As previously I was saying that in the previous session we start with control flow, and in control flow we read about two things. One is conditional statements and one is iterative statements. So in conditionals I meant if else later and nested if and things like that. In iterative statements we had for loops, then we had while loops. So for loops को हम लोग कहते थे definite iterations क्योंकि उसमें हमें पता था कि हम लोग कितने iterations करने वाले हैं. In while loop we did not know upfront कि कितने iterations करने. So for that we had a condition. If that condition is met, then only will the loop get terminated. So now I want you to run this code, dry run the code on your copy on your pen to tell me how many times will the hello get printed. And today even you might hear some noises here because it's Diwali and they are blasting crackers and stuff like that. So pardon me for that if you hear some noise. So here this is actually nested for loop, which we discussed yesterday. Nested for loop within a for loop. If you remember the dice problem जहाँ पे हमने डिस्कस किया था, अगर हम दो डाइस रोल कर रहे हैं तो how many possibilities are there. Anybody got an answer? Amir?
कर रहा हूँ अभी.
Okay, take your time. Sharika, Zahid, do you have some answers? Should I start it? Just give me a thumbs up if you want me to do that, and I'll show you step by step how to go about it. Are you trying on your own? Should I wait for maybe 30 more seconds?
Sir, 6 times.
6 times. So we have answer six
Yes, sir.
times. Okay, so let me dry run the code first, and I'll also get an answer. Then we'll run the code and interpret it. So okay, let me start how to do it. Like when you have a question like this, just see how I am doing it, and you should follow the same approach. So how I'm doing, for example, here we have a list of numbers. So this is a list. So for x in numbers, so the x is a variable, and now I have variable y as well. So the first value this x will take is 1 initially. For x in numbers, so this will be taken, then y in numbers, y is also equal to 1. If x modulus 2 is equal to 0, that means x is even. So here x is not even. Okay. So if it is false, then whole the condition becomes false due to short circuit. So the hello will not be printed for x is equal to 1. So directly
Two times it will be printed.
2 times. Let's see which answer will be correct. So are you following what I am doing? So x was initially y, and y was also x was initially equal to 1. So y be 1/3. So what we did is, so when x is even number, then this will print. Then this will be printed. But x here is odd. So clearly we are saying that for only even numbers, hello will get printed. So for when x is either 2 or 4, then only hellos will get printed. Now for how many times will this get printed? Now for y is equal, and which we are checking for y is odd. So for x is equal to 2 and 4, hello will get printed. But when y is equal to 1, 3 and 5, the hello will get printed. So total number of combinations is 2 multiplied by 3. So that's, it should get 6 times should be the answer. Okay, so we can also run line by line as I started. X and y, initially it was 1, it was 1. So hello was not printed. So then when x became, when initially when it was 1, and then y will check for 1, 2, 3, 4 up till the values of 5, all values. Because under this loop, this loop will get one complete iteration. So for y is equal, x is equal to 1, nothing was printed on the screen. So now when the value of x will be updated to 2, so for the values of 1, 3 and 5, hello will be printed. Okay, 3 times. Okay, then x will be updated to 3. Again for 3, nothing will be printed. Again when we go on 4, again hello will be printed 3 times. So at the end, when we x is equal to 5, again it won't, nothing will be printed. So expected answer is hello should be printed 6 times. So is everybody sort of okay with this, how we got the answer? Because here we are checking x should be even and y should be even. Y should be odd, sorry. So it should be odd and it should be even. So in even numbers, we have 2 numbers. For each 2 numbers in list, these even numbers in list, we are printing hello. The number of odd numbers in the list, that is, we have 2 even numbers multiplied by 3 odd numbers, that is 6 times. So let's go to the coding window and show you there whether this is right or wrong. Is my coding visible, screen visible? So I'll just run this cell and you can check it. The hello got printed 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, similarly, can you tell me if I uncomment this line? If I uncomment this x multiplied by, so what should be the output now? Can anyone tell me what should be the output now? It's really easy now. Because we know x should be even and y should be odd. So for that, this print x, for that line, this print x into y will get executed. Okay. So x should be either 2 and 4. This is the value of x. And y will be 1, 3 and 5. For these values, this thing will get printed. So 2 will first get multiplied by 1, 3 and 5. So we will get answer as 2, then 6, then 10. Then 4 will get multiplied by 1, 3 and 5. So the answer will be 4, 12 and 20. So this should be the output. Okay, if I run this code again, can you see the answer is 2, 6, 10, 4, 12, 20. Okay. Hello. Okay, so now let's move to the next example. So moving to the next example, if you see in here, this is the question on lists. Again, here we have a for loop, then we have a conditional, then we have else, then we are appending something. So even answer is there, so I will just erase the answer probably. And can you now tell me what should be the answer and why it should be the case? So here you got to understand why. So here now I want you to explain why should be the case here and what should be the answer. Such questions you should be able to do in under 1 minute. Then only I'll be able to say that the people have got understanding of loops and conditional statements. Even 1 minute is too much for this, but let's give that liberty. 1 minute के अंदर अगर ये question तुम लोग का आता है, that means like you understood loops. This is again a list. गई हम शुरू मुझे दिवाली first see what is this thing doing, then see what is this half doing. The reading code is really important because you must understand what the code is doing. If somebody wrote the code for you, you must know that कि ये code क्या कर रहा है. Because initially you will be worried with writing the code. So initially जब तुम code को लिखोगे तो that thing will be important for you. But you also must know how to read the code written by others. I am taking this refresher for probably 10 to 15 minutes to just get to know the concepts. How much have you practiced? Because this is how many lines of code are there. These are probably 10 lines of code. So in your projects you will be writing at least thousands of lines of code. So for that you must know how to read and write others codes. किसी का आंसर आ गया? जाहिद? Amir, do you have an answer?
नो सर अभी कर रहा हूँ.
Okay. Let me start it again and you can check your answers. Just focus here now and I'll try to solve it what it does. पहले मैं इतने कोड को हैंडल करूँगा. So what this length of numbers does is it basically tells me the range. So yesterday I told how was the for loop in range. So it does like this: for I in range of, let me not write it again. So we have numbers here, a list of numbers is here. So this for loop will basically go from 0, index 0 till 9. Because that's how this range function is different. Length of numbers means go from 0 to 9. As range, I said the range works like this: range, start, then end index, then a step size. So here if you just give one number, it is basically the start, and it's basically the end number. It's basically the end number, that is go from 0 to that point, exclude the end. So here length of elements is 9. So it will go from 0 to 9. Okay. So if he's saying if numbers of I, as I is 0 now, so numbers of 0, it will be here. So it is checking if it is even, then multiply that number with 2. Otherwise, just subtract 1. So it will change this list. So ये करेगा क्या? यहाँ पे पहला number odd है, तो it will make it 0, क्योंकि it will subtract 1 from it. So second बार क्या? Second number even है, so now it will multiply it by 2. It will change it into 4. Okay. Again, this number is odd, so ये 2 बना देगा इसको, because in odd we are getting -1. Similarly for this, it will multiply it by 2, make it 8. Okay, for this 5 it will make it 4, because for odd numbers एक subtract कर देता है, and for even numbers it multiplies it by 2. So it is 12 now, it is 6, it is 16, this is 8. Okay, so this is what this much of code does. So this much of code is doing that thing. Okay, so now this here we are defining a list again. Now again we are going from 0 to 9, and we are saying whenever this I, because it will go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And here this line says that when I is divisible by 3, then append that number into that list, that is add that number into the result. So which number is divisible by 3? 1 is 0, it is divisible by 3. Then 3 is divisible by 3. Okay. Then we have 9, I think 6, we have it is divisible by 3, and 9 is divisible by 3. Okay, so it is saying for the numbers where it is divisible by 3, go to that list and check that index. As list is like this, so I'll again make a list. List is like this. So we have now 0, this updated list. I am talking about this list which we have updated: 0, 4, 2, 8, 4, 12, 6, 16 and 8. So indexing is like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay. So now we have, as I goes from 0 to 9, that is 9 won't be taken, only till 8 it will take, because we saw that range function will start from 0 to 9. So it will first, as 0 is a divisible of 3, so it will take the first element. It will take the element for 0 from here, so it will print 0. Again, then it will take the third index element. So right here, third index element is 8, so it will also print 8. So again, now it will go to 6, it will take 6th wala index element. So here it is 6, so it will print 6. Now that 9 is no more there, so it will print 0, 8 and 6. Is that clear? Is it clear? Just show me thumbs up
Yes,
or
sir.
something. So otherwise I'll again go through it if somebody has problems understanding it. Just going, just let me show you the output first. So you can see that we have a 0, 8, 6 as output. Let me again go through it one by one, okay? Because it's a little bit tedious thing that you might encounter for the first time. Once you get fluent in these things, you will really feel them. These are easy. So we have a list initially. So this is our list: 1, 2, 3. So let me index it as well. As I told you, the list is indexed like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So list is indexed like this. So let's first evaluate this loop. What is it doing? So यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? It goes from, because length of numbers will give actually answer as range of 9. So range of 9, basically it will go from 0 to 8 excluding 9. So it will say if numbers of I. So if I write number of 0, that means it will take this element, first element. If I write number of 1, it will go to this index, second index. Okay. So what is this line doing? It's saying if a number is even in the list, multiply it by 2. Otherwise, if number is not even, it will be odd. So if it is odd, then subtract it by 1. So what it's doing is right now, so here we have an odd number. So this will be replaced by 0. Okay. Then second number, as it is fulfilling this condition, as it is even, so it will get multiplied by 2. So it will be 4. Again, this is an odd number. So this condition will be fulfilled. So here we will get number as 2. So again, this is an even number, multiplied by 2, it will be 8. So again here, odd number, so 4. Even number, so 12 multiplied by 2. So again here we have an odd number, so subtracted by 1. Multiply by 2, 16. So subtract by 1, 8. So this is our new list now. So this here, which I am selecting, so this is our new list. If you see, I can bring it here. This is our new list, because we updated the list. So this is our new list. So if I index it again, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the job of this loop is done. Now here I am having another list of result. I name it as result. So what I am saying is, again, I in range of, so it will go again from 0 to 9, the 0 to 8, because 9 will be excluded. So it is saying if I, that is these index numbers, are multiplied by or exactly divisible by 3, so then append the number which you see in the list. For example, now we can see that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 we have. So out of these, how many i's are divisible by 3? 0 is divisible by 3. Okay, this is divisible by 3. Then we have this is divisible by 3 and this is divisible by 3. So these are 3 numbers. So it is saying whenever this condition is met, result dot append numbers of I. So numbers go to this numbers array. So this is the numbers list, or we can say it. So list, and go at the 0 index first and append that in the result. So that add that into the result or list of results. So we will select this. So numbers of I. So first we'll go numbers of 0. So this is numbers of 0. So it is 0. So it will append 0 into the list. Then again, this condition will get true at 3. So what will happen there is, so it will say numbers of 3. So it will go numbers of 3. So right here. So it will append 8 in this list. So at the end, again we have one more number at 6, because this condition is met. So it will go numbers of 6. If you see numbers of 6, so it will be 6. So because now there is no more number and loop got exhausted, so this will get printed on the screen. Is this clear now, how these things work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that showed how much you have understand, so that you should be able to do such questions under 1 minute. That is the goal that you should be having. Because यहाँ पे हमारे पास सिर्फ 10 lines का code है. I am repeating again, you will be writing much more longer code in your projects. And people sometimes do ask like, for example, when we write real code, do we have to write some code? Yes, you should build logic like this. तो अगर ये वाला logic build नहीं करना है, For example, कोई नहीं करेगा तो that means कि he won't be able to program good things. Okay. Now we have something called as loop control statements. Okay. So अभी तक हमने देखा कि loops, how can we iterate over the things and how can we do some things repeatedly. So now what we have is we want to somehow do some conditioning on the loop as well. Sometimes we want to perform some, for example, if I want to skip some iteration if some conditions happen. So for that we have that. So normally we have a normal sequence in the loops. So if we want to change that normal sequence, okay, if I have a loop for I in range of 10, print hello. So how many times will hello get printed if I write this code? For I in range of 10, print hello. Sharika, so how many times will hello get printed if I write this code in Python?
So 10
that's
times.
great.
10 times. So it will run 10 times. So what if I just want this print hello to get printed only if I is even? Okay. Initially, I can do one thing for even. I want to skip it, for example, for odd numbers or something. There are various ways because I want normally it will execute certain ways, but I want to change that normal execution. For that, Python supports what is called as loop control statements, and we want to control loop in a certain way. So उसके लिए Python ने हमारे पास दिया control statement. For example, we have a break statement, we have continue statement, we have pass statement, and we have else statement with the loops. I think this pass and else is explicit to Python only. Pass statement and else statement. No other language uses them. But I can assure you that break and continue is there in other languages. But there is no pass or else in languages like C, C++, Java. You will see each of these one by one. So what does break do and what is this continue doing? What is this pass doing? Let's go with the break statement first. Okay. So here if you see this line of code, if you see this snippet of code, it is usually called snippet of code. Okay. Spelling maybe here and there, but it's okay. So here what I am saying is I want to break the loop prematurely. Break the loop prematurely. So what's the meaning of that? Means that if a certain condition is met, then I want to go further. I don't want to repeat the task again and again. So here I am printing numbers from 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are the 4 numbers. But I am saying whenever you encounter 3, just move out of the loop. So that's what this break is doing. It is saying if I is equal to 3, that's if value of I becomes 3, print that you are breaking the loop and break and come out of the loop. Okay. So for example, if you would run this code, initially I will be 0. So I is not equal to, this 0 is not equal to 3, so it will directly print is I. So 0 will get printed. So again for next iteration I will be 1. So 1 is not equal to 3, so it will again print 1. Again for 2, this condition won't be met because 2 is not equal to 3. So again this will get printed. So this 2 will get printed on the screen. So now when it comes to 3, so what will happen is this condition will be met. So this line will get printed. Breaking loop at I is equal to 3, then we'll break. Break means you are taking control out of the loop. Okay, so if a certain condition is met and at that point of time you want to take control out of the loop prematurely, because still we had one more iteration, we had an iteration at 4, but we just took control and हमने loop को stop किया वहीं पे. So that's the job of break statement. So let's go to the coding window to explain it better. Okay, so for example, if I want to run it for let's say 10 times, okay, I want to break it on 3rd time. So you can see it over here. So if I run this, so if I run it, so what will happen is it will just run 2 times and it will come out of the loop. It will break it prematurely. So if I want to break the loop at, for example, 4th iteration, let's say I am doing certain task. For example, I am saying print hi students or something like this. So I want this to get printed, for example, initial 4 times, then when I is equal to 4, I want to break the loop. So this is what will happen is first it will print hi students, and then I don't want to even print this. Let me just comment it out. So you can see hi students 5 times because it printed it for 0, 1, 2, 3, and even when it was equal to 4, I was equal to 4, so then we broke out of this, and then loop was terminated prematurely. So this has real world applications when you will see, for example, if I take the real world applications, इसमें कहाँ पे है. If you are doing some certain task and you suddenly want the program to interrupt in between, तो तुम नहीं चाहते कि वहाँ से और जाए. So then probably in Linux you'll say you'll press some control D or something, so it gets exit. So वहाँ पे भी यही होता है, they apply break on that. So on certain keys they'll apply break. So I hope that break is clear. So again I'll just summarize what is the meaning of break. So break क्या करता है? It terminates the loop basically. अगर loop कोई चीज़ iteration में करना चाह रहा है, if a certain condition is met, अगर वो condition पूरी होती है, तो if condition is met and then break is written, so we'll come out of the loop. Then we won't be doing anything of the loop, and we'll move out of the loop and then see that. Again, I want to write something out of the loop here. So here out of the loop here is, for example, print loop ended success loop. Let's say loop broken. Okay. Or let's say again, I'll again say print. I'll print two statements outside loop. Okay, so if I now print this, for example, it'll print hi students 5 times as it did, then it'll move out of the loop, then it'll again start execution from this print outer loop, outside loop, and print loop broken. So you can see that. So execution started from here, and it continuously was iterating over this loop till this condition was met. When this condition was met, it broke out the loop prematurely. If this condition was not there, for example, like this, if it's was not there, so then what will happen is, again, first hi students will be printed 10 times, then these two things will be printed. So if I again go and run it, you can see hi students, it was printed 10 times, and then the control went to outside loop and loop broken. So these two statements. But if I put a condition like if I is equal 4, so what I'm saying is break it, then I'll break the loop prematurely. That's when this condition is met, I don't want to do further iterations, just stop it there and come outside the loop. So this is what it is doing. So for 5 times it's running the loop, then it is, when it sees the break, it immediately comes out of this and prints these two lines. Okay, I hope this is pretty clear, like how loops work, huh? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, loops can be used with while as well. For example, here I am showing you a code snippet. So what I am saying is, here I have I is equal 0. Then it's basically sometimes called as like index counter. ये index का count रख रहा है कहाँ पे है ये loop. So I am here is a string alhamdulillah for guidance, let's suppose. So here we have a string alhamdulillah for guidance. What we want to show is, if there is an E or if there is an S, if both of these are there, just increment it by 1 and break out of the loop. तो अगर तो कहीं पे E हुआ और कहीं पे S हुआ, immediately I को increment करो 1 से and then break. और current letter I plus 1 क्यों है? Because we want to show the current letter. Okay, and then we're again incrementing it. So now because this is while, okay, so it will continuously check this condition. If I is less than equal to length means like it will check length of whole of this string. Okay, so if I dry run the code, अगर मैं dry run कर रही है code को, the first thing is alhamdulillah for guidance. Let me, here you know the index now, 0 1 2 3 4 up till like whatever the length it will be. So I initially is 0, so I'll be at this A. So if A of I, that means A of 0 is E. It is not E, neither it is S. So it will not execute this block. So it will directly print current letter A. Current letter is A, so A will get printed. Similarly, for L, H, A and M, it will print all of these things still here. D, U, L, I, L, A, H even. So till we get till here, where we have the first E. So what will happen is, so you can check it here. So because now the condition is met, this condition is true. So it will increment I, whatever the value of I was, and it will break out of the loop. So it will terminate the loop. So you can see in here A, L, H, A, M, D, U, L, I, L, A, H. So alhamdulillah was there, and when we had even this for was there, F, O, or for was there, F, O, or for. When we had and TH is there. Then when it reached this E, it stopped. We can see. Because we were searching either for E or for S. If we had these two, if we have one of these two letters, we'll stop the loop. We'll just break out of the loop. Okay, I hope this is also clear, because it works similarly as it worked for, but it has a little bit of different syntax in while as well. So you can see like we are checking here for length, and then we are again seeing if these two conditions are met, then break out of the loop. Okay, so just let me go to the coding screen and I'll show you the same. Let's write a simple, let's say asleep. So what should be the expected output of this sleep? Because it finds if there is letter E or S, it will just break out the loop. Otherwise, it will print the whole string. So for example, if I just print something like, let's say Zahid, if I print it like this, because Zahid has no S and E, so it will print the whole letter. If you see, it printed Z-A-H-I-D, if you see it. But now if I have, let's suppose, hello. So now hello has E in it. So it will stop execution when it sees E. It will just print H. So you can see it just printed H and came out of the loop. So when a certain condition is met, it terminates the loop prematurely. So I hope how to use this break with while loop is also clear. Is it clear? Okay. Now we'll move to the continue statement. अभी हम कहाँ पे है? Just to give you again this glance, we are in the loop control statements. कि अगर हमें loop के control में कुछ करना है, so how to do that? For that we saw the break statement. हम लोगों ने ये वाला break statement देखा कैसे काम करता है break statement. That's why I have written here. It exits the loop prematurely. If you see it here. And then we'll move to this continue statement. Okay. So what continue statement does is, it will basically skip an iteration. If a certain condition is met, it will skip an iteration. तो ये क्या करता है, अगर कोई condition meet हुई तो यहाँ पे iteration को skip कर देगा. For example, let's take an example here. यहाँ पे भी same. For I is in the range of 5, so the expected is if we print this, for example, if we print hello. So for I in a range of 5, print hello. So hello should get printed 5 times. Okay, it should be hello. But what are we saying? We are saying that when I is equal to, skip that time. Do not print that time. For example, we are saying we skip that iteration and do not print the value of I. So because this is done by continue. So we have value of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. For 0, this print I will get printed. So we will get the value 0. For this 1, because this is the values of I. For this 1, condition is not met, we will get 1 as 1 printed. Now at 2, this condition is met. So what will be happening? This thing will get printed as you saw it on the screen, and continue. It will not execute this statement. It will not execute this statement. It will not execute this. It will just again go with the loop to the back. It will just skip one iteration. As you saw that it did not print 2 because it did not went to this line. It skipped one iteration. So again when it went to 3, it again just performed as normal. But we just wanted to skip an iteration. Is this clear? The continue, what continue does it, if you have a certain condition on which you want to skip an iteration. कभी ऐसा भी होता है कि for example you are writing a loop for some program है, वहाँ पे तुम ये check कर रहे हो if a person is spending for example time greater than something, so you want to do a certain task because you are doing the task in the loop, so you want to check for a condition कि इसके लिए ये चीज़ skip कर दो or something like that. So let's go back to the coding window and check. We check it here. So here 0, 1, 2. So again if I give you the example of here. So AI ML class is going. So here I am saying whenever there is an E or there is an S, skip that iteration and rest print the letters. Okay. So all letters will get printed except E and S. If you say here we have a lot of S's in here and I don't think we have an E, let's put some E's in here. So these E's won't get printed and these S's won't get printed, except those everything will be printed because we are printing this current letter if you see it well. So just let me print it. So you see A, I, M, L, C, L, A, I, G, O, everything is printed except for this E and S. Okay, sometimes you want to basically print only certain characters and want to skip iterations. So for skipping iteration, if you have a certain condition, if that condition is met, you want to skip the iteration. For that we use continue statement. Okay, is that clear? Is it clear how this continuous statements work? Okay, nice. So these are the most two important, highly used, I'll say, loop controlling statements. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ पे अभी हमारे पास बहुत सारे tools हैं. Now we have some control over loops and we know how to use this continue and we know how to use this break. We have something called as pass as well. Pass statement basically is nothing if you want to write a code but you don't exactly know what are the statements I want to write there. For example, you know that I have to do certain things repeatedly in a loop. So for that, you write pass statement. For example, you are writing a loop in here and you want to see if a condition is met and I will do something, but I don't exactly know right now what I'll do is, and this usually happens in coding. Sometimes when you are doing something, you don't have a concrete plan कि इस जगह पे करना क्या है. So you will put these pass statements over here so that the code runs smoothly. Okay? So you'll just have here, you have some do when I is equal to 1, something is to be done actually. So here I have to do nothing as of now, but I'll just put this pass statement and later when I'll come to the code I'll write it something when I have the concrete idea. तो pass हम लोग यूज इसलिए कर रहे हैं ताकि ये क्योंकि syntactically required होता है, because if you want to run something it should be syntactically correct. So that's why we put this pass so that we can write code instead of it instead of this pass later on. So when we get an idea कि इस condition पे हम लोग को क्या करना है. Okay, this is sometimes also called as placeholder क्यों? क्योंकि ये ऐसी चीज़ है जिसमें हम लोग कोड बाद में पुट करेंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल समटाइम्स यू नो कि तुम्हारे पास 4-5 कंडीशन है 1 2 3 4 and 5. फॉर मे बी 1 2 3 and 4 ऑफ देम यू नो व्हाट टू डू, लेकिन 5 के लिए यू हैव डिस्कशंस कि इसमें इस 5वीं कंडीशन में क्या करना है. सो यू विल स्टिल राइट द कोड फॉर दीज 4 एंड फॉर दिस 5th कंडीशन यू विल राइट पास बिकॉज यू विल फिल इट लेटर. ओके, क्योंकि समटाइम्स व्हेन यू मेक ए प्लान तुम चाहते हो कि जैसे हमारे फॉर एग्जांपल टिल नाउ वी आर प्लानिंग टू हैव फॉर एग्जांपल let's suppose 10 lectures. So in 9 lectures I know what to do. So what I'll do, I'll make if statements for each lecture, but for 9th or 10th lecture I don't know what to do. So in that I'll write pass. Pass means that I'll write it later and exactly I don't have idea right now what to do. So here you can see it here. So for I is in range with this, if I is this pass, I want to do something else, print the number. So that's why numbers printed got 0, 1 got skipped because this was passed. We did not do anything here, so we can fill the statements later. And for other numbers, they got printed normally. Okay, similarly for this is an empty loop example. So this is AIMLDL. So I am saying how to use it with the while loop. So I am saying incremented 1. Do not do anything with this loop because I'll probably do it later on. But just print the last value of I. As initially I was 0, and this loop will run 6 times, and the last value of I will be 6. Okay, so this is actually empty loop. So here pass means do nothing with the loop. So that's why it's called empty loop. So empty loop, sometimes you write empty loops because you want to fill the things later. Okay, this is actually a good coding practice. Good coding practice. क्योंकि जब हम लोग कहीं पे मकान बनाते हैं, so what will we do actually is we will make a rough sketch पहले. तो पहले हम लोग एक rough sketch लेके आते हैं. वो इसे let's say यहाँ पे हम लोग का door होगा, probably we here we'll have a hall, हम लोग का यहाँ पे washroom होगा, we'll have a lobby in here, some things like that. So that rough sketch we don't exactly fill कि अब हमें कहाँ पे कौन सा पेंट लगाना है, अब मैं कहाँ पे ये चीज़ करना है, but still we keep placeholders for that. So that's why in coding when we are building some software we have a generic idea क्या क्या करना है, but for some pieces we sometimes don't know कि वहाँ पे हम लोग क्या करेंगे in future. That's why we add these placeholders. Okay, we even sometimes comment them pass and then we write a comment hash to do something and write what are we going to do in future. We'll have discussions of this. That's why this statement pass is there in Python, because you want to have a template ready and later on you will fill it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go with the else with for loops, because now only Python provides this feature. I don't think any other language like C or C++, Java, they provide this else with for loops. So what I am saying is here you can see it right here. For example, this is a loop where we have a break statement. Okay, so you can see it here, the break is here. So as usual it will get the print will be 0 1 2. Okay, and at the end it will be 3 will be printed because of this, because we are breaking at the 3 actually. So after that this else will get printed. You can see, for example, the loop completes if there is no break. If there is no break, अगर तो ये loop successfully complete हुआ तो क्या होगा, तो it won't come, it won't, basically what will happen is the else will get only printed if loop is completed successfully. अगर ये पूरा complete हुआ, completed successfully. अगर कहीं पे ये break नहीं हुआ, for example this condition was not met, तो ये condition कहीं पे नहीं आई, तो we'll say कि loop पूरा का पूरा चलेगा. Okay, then only we'll say जब loop पूरा चला तो हम ये else statement में आ जाते हैं. The condition is it should not prematurely break. So that's what I have written in here. So only when the loop is not terminated. So else block is only executed when the loop is not terminated, and it is executed at the end of the loop. बात समझ आ रही है? So what I am saying is अगर एक loop चल रहा है and a break statement was there, but still it did not get executed क्योंकि ये शायद condition meet नहीं हुई. So for that, this else will get executed after the loop finished. Okay, let me take you to the coding window where I'll show you what I mean by this. चलो यहाँ पे अगर मैं दिखाऊँ, so this pass is also here, so you can check it as well. So if you see, so here यहाँ पे loop break हो रहा है, तो this else won't run क्योंकि loop जो है ये prematurely break हो रहा है. तो यहाँ पे हम ये the loop complete successfully won't get printed. So let's say I'll print hello in here to make it clear. So for example, if I run this, so no hello got printed. What if I write if I is equal 6? Because I know that I won't go till 6 because here the range is from 0 to 5. So numbers I will take is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. This condition will never be met. Okay, I am sure about that. So when the loop did not get break, it did not broke prematurely. So I am sure that after finishing of this loop, this else will get printed. So else will be printed if there is no premature break or if the loop has successfully completed. So you can now say if I run it, you can see that hello also got printed. So when does this else get executed? Simple answer: if the loop completes whole of its job without breaking prematurely. Okay, so again showing an example, if there is for let's say 4, because now I know that I will reach from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so it will be broken at the last condition. Still this hello won't get printed because else only gets printed in the loops when there is a premature break. You can see it. Hello did not get, we did not get hello on the output screen. Is this clear? Is the
जी सर.
The question should be, why is this else there? The question should be कि ये else क्यों रखा हुआ है, कि ये why are these things there? Because it is a tool. अगर एक additional feature दे रहा है, why is it there? So sometimes what we want to do is we want to set a flag. हमारे पास क्या होता है, हम चाहते हैं कि अगर कुछ चेंज हुआ लूप में, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ ए सर्टेन कंडीशन इज मेट, अगर तो कुछ कोई कंडीशन मेट हुई तो दैट मीन्स सम फ्लैग शुड नॉट बी सेट. तो मैं ऐसे बोल सकता हूँ कि लेट्स से इस लूप के जरिए मैं देखना चाहता हूँ कुछ, और अगर तो ये लूप ब्रेक हुआ तो आई वांट टू सेट, फॉर एग्जांपल अगर तो ये लूप कंप्लीट हुआ, आई वांट टू सेट दैट फ्लैग एज 0. अगर ये लूप कंप्लीट हुआ, अगर तो नहीं हुआ तो इनिशियली आई विल लेट्स से सपोज कि वो फ्लैग जो है वो 1 पे मैं सेट कर रहा हूँ इनिशियली. सो अगर ये लूप पूरा कंप्लीट हुआ तो द फ्लैग विल बेसिकली गेट चेंज टू 0. ओके, अगर तो ये फ्लैग जो है, ये जो लूप है प्रीमेच्योरली ब्रेक हुआ, तो आई विल से दिस फ्लैग विल स्टिल रिमेन एज 1. सो ये फ्लैग्स हमारे पास कहाँ काम आते हैं? फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू नो अबाउट बबल सॉर्ट, तो हम वहाँ पे कहीं पे क्या होता है कि हम सॉर्टिंग कर रहे होते हैं एंड वी एक्सपेक्ट वहाँ पे फॉर एग्जाम्पल ऑर्डर एंड स्क्वायर इटरेशंस लगेंगे, बट समटाइम्स व्हाट विल हैपन इज द लास्ट इटरेशन दे डोंट डू एनीथिंग बिकॉज द लिस्ट इज ऑलरेडी सॉर्टेड. तो उसमें हम फ्लैग रखना चाहते हैं. इफ देयर इज नो स्वैप, तो हम लोग फ्लैग रख रहे हैं. अगर तो स्वैप एलिमेंट नहीं हुए तो लेट्स पुट द फ्लैग इज इक्वल टू 1. सो इन दोज केसेस दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. सो समटाइम्स वी वांट टू चेक अगर एक लूप पूरी तरह से कंप्लीट हुआ, the loop did its task completely, that means we want to do certain things, otherwise we want, so this is for the flag setting. I think this will get clear once we do examples. So just keep this in mind. Sometimes we want to do certain statements अगर तो एक loop पूरा complete हुआ, अगर तो ये पूरा complete नहीं हुआ, so we'll do some other things. That's why this else is there with the loops. Similarly with the for loop as well, with the while loop as well. So when this loop gets completed in here, for example, as there is no break statement in here, so no break will be executed because this loop won't exit prematurely. So it won't exit prematurely. So that's why this no break will always get printed on the screen. So what I'm saying is else, just keep this in mind, else will be executed if loop does not get exited prematurely. Okay, so is this break clear now, like how this else works with the for loop and while loops? Is it clear?
सर अगर हम if else इस्तेमाल करें else की जगह,
So that's a different story. If else is in the conditionals, here this else is an additional part to the else को हम अकेले यूज कर नहीं सकते. So else should be,
हाँ उसमें वो है,
हाँ,
बट आखिरकार if else का जब पहले if कंडीशन अगर वो नहीं हुई तो वो else पे जाता है.
no, you're getting it wrong. The thing is in those conditions if should be for, else should be preceded by if. अगर तो ये नहीं है then compiler will give errors. तो अगर तुम डायरेक्ट else लिखोगे पहले ही, because as there is no if condition, so else won't work. So here you can see it's a special syntax जहाँ पे else use कर रहे हैं हम लोग loops की जगह. There is no if. Let me show it in the code and I think it will be clear. So for example मैं यहाँ पे दिखा रहा हूँ, let me add a cell here. So if I write else, just an else print hello, you'll see this interpreter will be really furious on me. So it's an invalid syntax. Why is it invalid syntax? Because there is no if. Now if I write if, let's suppose if, I'll say, let's say false, and I'll say pass because I'm not writing anything in there. And now you will see, because now it is syntactically correct. Now you saw that hello got printed. So my point is that else cannot be written without if. But in Python there is a special case. You can write it with loops. So do you understand? I think it was Zahid who was the questionnaire. So did you understand the thing? Like this else is a special thing that's in Python.
Yes, sir.
So if you write just else, it won't work if it does not have the if with it. So but Python has given you a special case that you can use it with for loops as well. So I am telling you the application is there. Sometimes we want to set flags and things like that, and I think it'll get clear when you do a lot of coding. Why is this thing necessary? Why have they kept this else as well? If it is nowhere in other programming languages. So I think it'll get clear slowly. So now we are seeing Sentinel control statement. Okay, so what I mean by this, sometimes you want to prompt something again and again till a certain action is done. Or kabhi, for example, somebody is installing a program. If he is pressing no continuously, you want to flash him again and again. But if you have seen the agreements, so you have seen there is a little tick in here. If you don't click that tick, that window won't go away. So there they are using this Sentinel control statement. So they have that while loop displayed on the screen, and do not let the user for example go away with the screen till he ticks this, and then he can go further. So that's called Sentinel control. So in Sentinel control loops, sometimes we use counter variable or something. It's some certain condition is met or something is done. So on certain condition, then only do it. Otherwise, do not. I'll just show an example to make it clear. So here you can see it. So I'm taking a as an input, enter number. If I enter a number, I'll print that number. So if there is a -1, then I'll stop prompting the user. For example, let me run this. So here I'm saying enter a number. If I enter number 2, so you can see that the number got printed, and now it again says me enter a number. So if I say again 4, again the same story will happen. 4 will get printed. So enter a number again. I'll say 6. Again the same thing will be there. 6 will be printed till I hit -1. This will keep on prompting. This will keep on going on. If I hit -1 now the loop will terminate. Okay, because sometimes you want to prompt till a certain point when, for example, if you are playing a game, till you don't press quit, the game will be still there. Okay? Let me just print it here so that every time we get a print. Again, let me run it to make it clear. So here I am taking a number, let's say 5. So 5 will get printed, then it will again ask me for a number. So here 5 got printed, again ask me a number. 6, if I write -1, because the condition here is if a is not equal to -1, then keep on looping the things. Keep on doing the certain thing if a certain character is not typed. So here that character is -1 or the condition is -1. So जब तक हम लोग ये -1 नहीं लिखेंगे तब तक ये लूप चलता रहेगा यूजर से ये प्रॉम्प्ट करता रहेगा ये चीज़. So that's why this means the sentinel condition means जहाँ पे हम कंट्रोल दे रहे यूजर को, if you want to quit it you have to press it. Even if you are users of Linux or something, they'll keep on prompting some things, or they'll tell you to press N means no, I don't want, and then if you press enter, then the whole thing will like get vanished out or something. But if you keep on pressing some other key, it will keep on like looping the same, it will keep on showing those things to you. So when I press -1, now the loop got terminated. Okay, is this thing clear? So if you want to do certain things continuously and you want to take user's input till the user does not hit the quit key, and you want to, for example, continuously prompt him with the same thing. For example, if you are building a calculator, अगर तुम calculator बना रहे हो सोचो, and you want to again prompt user कि चलो ये लिखो plus करना है, minus करना है, and till the user does not say quit, I quit this, you must give him the prompt. Okay, enter first number, enter second number. This is the answer. Do you want to do it again? If he presses yes, that means you again will prompt it. If he presses quit, Q or -1, you will just quit it. Okay, that's what these sentinel control statements means. Then we have these while loop and booleans, I'll say boolean values. तो हम यहाँ पे ये बहुत common है ये infinite loop create करके, जैसे हमने बहुत सारे कल infinite loops create किए. For example, if while this is always true and we are saying count +1 and, और यहाँ पे अगर हम इतना ही लिखेंगे, so So this will keep on going. So this will be infinite loop. So हम इसको break की मदद से break करेंगे. So I am saying if count is equal to 5, जैसे ही count 5 पहुंचे break out the loop. तो यहाँ पे हम लोग directly to we are not checking for a condition. हम लोग यहाँ पे direct बोल रहे हैं let's loop for infinite time. But just one second. So if the count becomes 5, then move out the loop, break it. So अगर मैं सिर्फ इतना code लिखूँ, so this will go into the infinity loop because this condition is always true because this by default is true. And I am incrementing counter one by one, so it will happen once 1 2 3 4 5 6 till infinity. But now I am checking this condition again. I am saying if the count becomes 5, when this count becomes 5, just break out the loop, just terminate the loop. Okay, sometimes you will also in your projects and things, and when you read the code, write the code, you will see some things as like this. While true, that means like it will run for infinite time. Then you will check for some condition in between the loop, maybe at some end of the code or something like that. Okay, is this clear? Like how do we use here? We also use break. Even you can also say while false, so it won't run. This loop will never run then. So that's what is meaning of basically no loop. So here till this point, this is an infinite loop. So when you add this condition, we'll break it when the count becomes 5. Okay, as you can see the output in here. So we want to increment it. Okay, I'll just run the code. Maybe I'll show here. I have some. So here as I'll initialize it, and when the count becomes 5, I'll break out the loop. You can check that. So here the answer is 1 2 3 4 5, and after 5 we have the break. If I write 10 here, so similar thing will happen. If I write nothing here, for example, this will go till infinite time. It will keep on, and let's say this break, so it will keep on going. So this is an infinite loop basically. Is there a problem somewhere? Because this comment is showing red. This keeps on going, and we are not printing anything. As you see, this star indicates this code is running. Okay, I'll have to stop it prematurely. So I'll go back at the code. So however it was. So let's say now 4. We'll stop it at 4. So you can see that 1 2 3 4. Then it went to the end of the loop. Okay, then it gave control over here. If you do not have these lines, this loop will go on forever. It will never stop. It will just keep on printing things. I hope this is also clear. Like if you write this, if I write false, it will never run basically, because this condition is it won't go in the loop. You can check it. If I just run it, it will just directly go to the end of the loop. You can directly set it printed out the loop. This end of the loop. So by this you can also use booleans with this. As I said, the condition always should give an answer as boolean. Again, so where to use it? For example, if I have to use it in countdown, sometimes for example तुम्हारे पास 10 सेकंड कोई काम करने के लिए है or something like that. So और तुम blast में रखते हो, तो you are keeping a countdown 10 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 और blast. So that's how they will use this while loop. So they'll create a countdown. I hope my screen is visible. Is it? So अगर आप कोई timer, time bomb, or maybe you want to trigger certain things, even WhatsApp has that feature कि अगर इतना time, for example, if the time is for example 12 at night, you can send happy birthday message, there is those messages, or you can trigger some things like that. So we can keep a countdown by using while loop. So till we have that 10 8 9 6, and then it will go out of the loop. So you can check it. It will print in the backward direction 10, उसके बाद 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1, then it will go out. So you can say 10 9 7 8 6 5 4 3 2 and blast off. Okay, something like that. This is used in countdown. I'm just showing the example how loops can be used now. Now in the password validation as well, we can use loops with the if statements. For example, let's say you have kept your password as secure 123. Okay, so now you are telling your user input your password if you want to if he wants to access the system. Then if this password matches the password that is there in the database, then you will give it access. Otherwise, you will break it. You'll say access denied or access granted. Let's for example go here. So password is secure 123. Let's put ABC is my password. So enter. So it will say access denied, and again show enter the password again because this password is wrong, because this while loop is going infinitely till we don't have the right password. It will keep on prompting me. So I'll say, for example, let's say I'll say hi there. This is my password. So it'll print access denied, or maybe say we'll say wrong password. So here we can say, for example, wrong password. Okay. So again I'll say hello. Again same thing. Okay. let's put a password so that it gets, I'll say secure 123. This is my actual password. So I'll print, I'll enter everything, and you say access granted. So for example, in here when we are
Or the
giving,
screen switched.
huh?
Screen switched.
Oh, why is it switching? I don't know why is it switching automatically. I have to look at it. So what I'm saying, the real application you saw that, क्योंकि हम लोग बहुत Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat and things like that we use, और वहाँ पे वो password को validate करते हैं. Okay? So let me go back to this. तो वहाँ password, तो हमारे password जो store होते हैं, they are stored in some database. हमारे जो passwords है वो store होते हैं कोई database में. Okay, now we are using some server जो उनका server है, and we want to use that for streaming or doing something. तो पहले वो चेक क्या करेंगे, जैसे यूजर ऑथेंटिकेट करेगा, यूजर हैव टू एंटर हिज यूजर नेम एंड ए पासवर्ड, एंड फॉर दिस दे लुक दिस इनटू द डेटाबेस. तो उस डेटाबेस में वो जैसे पासवर्ड एंट्री, देन दे विल मैच द थिंग्स कि ये पासवर्ड यूजर नेम क्या सही में है. अगर तो है दे विल ग्रांट यू द एक्सेस टू द सर्वर, अदरवाइज दे वोंट ग्रांट यू एक्सेस. जैसे नॉर्मल अगर इंस्टाग्राम या किसी भी नेटवर्क पे देखोगे आप, इवन जीमेल एंड स्टफ, आई थिंक पासवर्ड्स आर एवरीवेयर नाउ विद द बैंक्स एज वेल. सो दे केप्ट ए सेपरेट डेटाबेस ऑफ पासवर्ड्स. So उसमें ये ऐसे ही लूप चलाते हैं. If I again go back to the screen, so here you have this access granted, access denied, and then when when we have this access, let's say granted, so in this there can be other statements connected to the server, like for example print connected to server. So connected to server. So I'm just showing you. Otherwise there will be lines of code which will connect to the server, otherwise it will say access denied. So here we have while is equal true, that means it will go for infinite time till you don't give the right pass, it will keep on prompting you. Okay, otherwise you can also have elif statement. For example, we can also print an instead of break we can say elif, let's have a condition. For example, if you want to quit or some, maybe it'll be boring. I don't want to code it here. So actually what I wanted to do is I wanted to set a condition that if you forgot your password or something, like it'll become again a huge, but I think you got the point. So by using the while loops and by using if else statements, that's how you actually take care of how to authenticate users. So this is basically password validation, or we can say authentication. So this is used for authentication, this line, this piece of code. Most of you people maybe probably, for example, would like to develop some websites using Python or something like that. So you have to write these lines of code in there. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know factorial, what factorials are. Okay, so for example, if we have 4 factorial, that means 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1. So if we have 5 factorial, this is 5 multiplied by everything till 1. Okay, if we have 2 factorial, that means 2 multiplied by 1, something like this. Okay, so this is the concept of factorial. So if we want to compute, if somebody gives me a number 4 and I want to compute a factorial of that number, how can I do that? I'll take an input that number and I'll say I'll start from 1. I'll say while number is greater than 0. So for example, let's say suppose somebody gives me number 4. Okay, I'm saying factorial is equal to factorial multiplied by that number. So initially factorial was 1. Now I have this number 4, 4 multiplied by 1 was 4, so I'll replace it by 4. Then I'll decrease this number by 1. This is my number. Okay, again I'll go back because this number is still greater than, now I'll decrease it by 1, it becomes 3. This is still greater than 0. So I'll again multiply it by 3, so it will be 12. Okay, I'll decrement it by 1, so it will be 2 now. So again I'll multiply these two, so it will be 24. So I'll decrement it by 1. Okay, so the answer to this should be 24. 4 factorial should be 24. So basically what I am doing is I am doing 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 by using loops. So I am checking the condition and this is the code which is used to compute the factorial. Okay, if I just go and switch the screen and see, for example, if I want to, let's suppose I want to compute the factorial of 5, enter, it will say 120. If I want to compute the factorial of 4, it will say 24. Okay, so for 24 means 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So that's how this can be done by while loop. It has a lot of other ways. It can be done by for loop, and you can do it by other ways as well. So this is one of the ways in which you just take a number as an input, then you start multiplying by backwards, and you reduce each time you reduce the number by 1 and multiply it by itself. Okay, again here we have a number. Again here we have an example, if you can see it. So can you just guess what it does? So can you just tell me what this code does? So what is the, for example, what is this? So if I print Actually, the code is written in that way, you will easily know. I just want to test your ability, like can you figure out कि ये code क्या कर रहा है? What is this code doing? Let me remove it. I trust you guys. So here first it will take an input. Okay, and that input will be stored in limit. Then sum of even is 0 and another variable is initialized with 0. Then a number variable is initialized with 2. Then we say till this number is less than limit. Okay? तो क्या हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? Sum of even plus number. तो हम लोग इन दोनों का sum कर रहे हैं. And then we add number by 2. So if we see this condition first, number is less than limit. So initially number is 2. And limit, for example, let us say was, we said it is 10. So yes, this number is less than limit because 2 is less than 10. Then sum of even, so sum of even is 0 plus equal to number. So number को इसमें add करेंगे, so it will become 2. And number plus is equal to 2, so this will become 4. Okay, so again the iteration will happen. Number is less than limit. Now number is 4, limit is 10. Yeah, still it is less than this 4 is less than 10. So it will do sum of even plus number. Sum of even this plus number, and this will be stored in sum of even. So it will be 6 now. 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, so now number will be incremented by 2. So this will also be 6. So again now 6 is less than 10. The condition is still true. Now we'll add the 6 plus 6. This will be 12. Okay, and this will be 8 because now we increment over here. Again, still this 8 is less than 10. As you can see, 8 is less than 10. Still it will run. So this sum of again these 2 now will be added. So it will be 20. Okay, this will be 10. Still this number is less than equal to, as now it's equal, still it will run one more time. So this is equal to 30. And this will be 12. Now the loop will break. The answer sum of even, because we are printing this sum of even at the end. So the answer should be 30. So what it basically does is, it is just computing the even numbers. If we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, things like that. Whichever numbers are even, it's calculating a sum. It's taking 2, then taking 4, then taking 6, then taking 8, then taking 10. Okay, 4 plus 6 is 10, 8 plus 2 is 10, 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 30. So it's giving the sum of even numbers in a series. If you give a number, for example 100, the numbers which are less than equal to 100, even numbers, it will give sum of those numbers. That's what this code snippet is doing. I just try to dry run over the code कि ये काम कैसे करता है. I hope that you understood. Did you understood how this code snippet works?
जी सर.
तो अगर मैं इसको run करूँ for example, तो here I'll say, let's suppose I'll give it a number, let's suppose 40. You can see the sum of even numbers up to 40 is 420. That's how this code snippet does. So it sums up the even numbers. So there are a lot of other ways as well. So other way कौन सी है, for loop में सिर्फ even numbers को you choose करो and add them up. This is one of the ways. So there, to achieve a certain task in programming, you can have multiple ways. For example, if you want me to do it with the for loop, let's do it with the for loop. तो मैं क्या करूँगा, I'll just take an input from the user, which I am taking as this limit कि कौन सा number है. So what I'll do is I'll say for I in a range of, क्योंकि वहाँ तक वो number लेना है मुझे, so limit plus 1, तो last number should get added. So what I'll say is, I'll say sum is equal to, initially because sum 0 होगा, if this I percent 2, that means is equal, if it's even, then what will I do is sum plus equal to I. तो ये add कर दो, यानी कि even number उस sum में add कर दो.
So the screen switched again.
Okay, are you seeing? Yeah, just tell me when it switches because it automatically switches sometimes. तो यहाँ पे तुम्हें दिख रहा है मैंने कोड लिखा है because this does the same thing. So if I give the input and again at the end I'll write print, I'll say sum. Just write it double because sum actually is a keyword in SVM. I'm writing it. So for example, if I run it, so enter limit, I'll say let's say small number 10, enter. So you saw 30. The same output was also given by this code because this is also summing up the even numbers only. So the same thing was done by here also because this is also doing that. I showed how can the two tasks be achieved with different code snippets. तो यहाँ पे भी हम लोग even numbers का sum कर रहे हैं and the answer is pretty much similar. Just for your sake, if I write 100, so it is 2550. Now if I comment this thing out और previous जो मेरा code था उसको मैं comment out वापस करूँ तो यहाँ पे आप देखो 100 का same answer 2550. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is a game as well. Tell you, for example, if you see this snippet of code as well, I don't want to go again into depth of this code. Maybe you can see it code, because here we have something called as random generator. Okay, I think now you sort of learn how to use loops and do certain tasks. क्योंकि loop ये बहुत important है, and typically it really gives you a hard time in understanding. Maybe sometimes you will feel कि मुझे समझ आ रहा है loop, but in reality sometimes you don't. क्योंकि तुम लोगों को फिर वो चीज़ नहीं आती कि अगर if I am giving you a certain task to repeatedly do something and you don't understand कि अब मैं समझाऊँ कैसे इसको. But I think it can be done by loops, but I don't know how to communicate to the computer. That's why you have to focus very much on these loops. क्योंकि इसमें बहुत focus करना है loops में कि how do these loops work. Okay, let's go on some advancing techniques of loops. There Python provides some advancing techniques as well. Okay, there are some advanced techniques of loops as well. So where are these techniques used? For example, in a particular scenario, they are beneficial. So we'll see the examples and you will see there are a lot of different. For example, if you can use enumerate. This is a function basically. So if you have fruits like apple, banana, and orange, and while you are sort of iterating over it, you also want to get the index. So this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2. Sometimes what you want, you also want to get a value with the index. तो हमें कभी कभी क्या चाहिए होता है, if I am iterating over a list, तो हमें उसका एक तो वो index भी चाहिए और वो list वहाँ पे जो element पड़ा वो भी चाहिए. So for that we use enumerate. So that's why I have written here for index and value. Enumerate these fruits. What enumerate basically gives me? Enumerate gives me back a tuple of elements in which the first element is index and the second element is value. Okay, so that's the if I tell you what is the function of enumerate, if I call enumerate on any iterable, for example list, let us suppose, so it will give me a pair of words basically. Okay, let me just show it to you, then it will get clear. I'll just so for example, if I have a list li and in that list I have, let's suppose Zahid, let's suppose another element is Mavish. Forgive me if I write your wrong name. Maybe I'll write Jahangir. If I miss the semicolons, I can put it like this, but here they don't support it. So if I have some other elements, let's suppose we have Umar in the class as well. So these are the people in the class, and I want to see. So I want to enumerate over the list. Enumerate means I want to get the index as well as. So what I am doing is enumerate this list. For example, if I print it, you will say it will be printing something, but I want it be a certain way. You can see li is not, it is li, and I want to convert it into the list so that I don't get an enumerated object. I get a list out of these things. So you can see in the list I got 0, Zahid, because Zahid is a 0 index. Then I got 1, Mahavish, because Mahavish is at first index. Then Jahangir is the second index. And Umar is the third index. Okay, with the index I got the values as well. So if I want to check the type of these, for example here you can see they clearly are tuples. Okay, it's a list of tuples. Yeah, that's what we are using in for loop, index and value, then enumerating the values, then we are saying index and value. If I run this code snippet, you can clearly see apple is at index 0, banana is at index 1, orange is at index 2. So is this enumerate function clear what it does? Is the enumerate function clear? What it does is it will give you the index and the value associated with the index as well. Okay, so you can use Python, you can use for loop in this manner as well. So you might have not seen, if you are in C, so there you only can use let's say one variable. Here you use two variables at the same time in the for loop, and you got even the list back as well. So is the enumerate clear? Show me thumbs up or something if you need some other explanations. Maybe I'm ready. Okay, then we have a zip function as well. Okay, sometimes if we have two lists and we want to map the first element with first, second element with second, third with third, we call it zip. Why is it called zip? If you see the zip, so zip has two strands basically, and each of them has mapping one-to-one mapping. They connect with each other, and we call it zip. But then, for example, if I have a list of names and I have a list of ages as well, and I want to somehow concatenate these two lists by using a single for loop. So what I am doing is I'll say for name and age, zip both of these lists together. So what zip will do is it will again do the same. It will create the same thing, and the first element will be Alice, and the second element will be 25, comma. Then will be Bob, then it will be 30. So it will take first element from here, map it here, second here, second element here. It will be a 1-1 mapping sort of thing. Okay, so that's why for name, age, in zip, I am putting these folders together, and then I am saying print the name and age. Here I am saying Alice is having age 25, Bob age 30, Charlie. Let's suppose this list has the name of the people and this is age of the people. This is how I can use two lists and iterate at the same time to these lists by using this zip function. So again, going to the code window, showing you what the zip does. What it the zip does, for example, we have a list 1, let's say L1. I don't want to capitalize it. So this is L1, and let's suppose this L1 is Alice. Let's have these. So these are our two lists. So if I perform zip operation on this, zip is a function itself. So I am giving these two list names, and then I am giving an age. So I want to convert that thing into a list. This is typecasting into the list. This is the typecast in the list, and then I want to print it. Here I am printing it. Okay, so you saw that we got Alice and 25. Alice and 25 as first element. Then we got Bob and 30. The Bob and 30 as second element. Then we got Charlie 22. Then we got Charlie and 22. That's how this zip function works. Then this zip is used in our for loop over here if you see it. अगर यहाँ पे हम लोग देखें तो then it does the same thing as was done by enumerate. So enumerate basically क्या करता है, index और value देता था. यहाँ पे zip क्या कर रहा है, it merges two lists in some sort of certain way. और यहाँ पे वो element wise देते हैं चीज़ें. We can probably like zip 3 lists as well. तो हम लोग 3 lists को भी zip कर सकते हैं. Okay, and based on that thing we can zip it accordingly, and you can see if I run this code. So here you get Alice age 20, Bob. And why is it useful? क्योंकि sometimes हमारे पास दो लिस्ट होते हैं और एक लिस्ट में एक इन्फॉर्मेशन होती है, दूसरे में दूसरी इन्फॉर्मेशन होती है, बट दे हैव 1-to-1 मैपिंग. जैसे यहाँ पे एलिस की एज 25 है, वैसे इफ यू हैव टू लिस्ट यू कैन यूज द zip function and enumerate. Okay, for example, if fruit, sometimes apple is actually red, so banana is yellow, cherry is, let's suppose, brown. I wrote green, so cherry is brown. So what I am doing is I am zipping these two together first, and then I am printing fruit and its color. Fruit has color, has the color. You can say apple is, is was good basically. So apple is red, banana is yellow, cherry is brown. So we had two lists, we sort of zipped them together and then use the loop with the function zip to do it. Am I clear with this? Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There are other advanced looping techniques, for example, by using list comprehension. In the first, I think in the first or second class where we were learning about some data types or something, we saw what list comprehensions are. So if you want to square numbers, for example, you can use a for loop. For example, for I, let me put this pen here, for I in a range of, let's suppose, maybe 5, what I want to do is, I want to print I multiplied by I, and I want to, let's say I want to append, let's say li dot append. I want to create a list append where I want to do I multiplied by I, and I want to create a list, so that list of squares of numbers. Okay, so here li is equal empty list. Okay, so I'll just comment out this code. So I'll say print li. So ये कोड क्या कर रहा है basically? ये कोड एक लूप चला रहा है, and for each other items it is just putting squares in the list. Okay, if I run this, it should be 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, something like this. You can see 0 square is 0, 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16. But I have to write these many lines of code for this. But there is a simple way to write it. Just one line. So this is called list comprehension. So I wrote x square, okay, for x in range of this. So if I print squares, I'll get a similar output. If you see, I just want to, okay, let's have both of these. So I got the both two outputs, similar outputs. So this is called list comprehension. Okay, so this is list comprehension. If you want to create sometimes a list in just one line. Okay, so let me go back to here and I'll show you. So here, what is the syntax? It should be enclosed with the list braces first. It should be like this. Then you have statement. What do you want to do? So statement is here. This is the statement. Then followed by a for. Okay. Then a variable. then conditions, in condition. So this is the syntax, and you can see here we are doing certain thing, then there is a for loop for x in range of this. We are doing this for 5 times, and then it automatically appends it. Basically here we don't need to call function append on the list, it automatically adds the things in the list. Okay, so I hope this list it's a succinct way, it's a very clear way of creating a list in one line. Okay, otherwise you have to write multiple lines, and in Python or in any other programming language when you're coding stuff, तो बहुत frequently ऐसा होता है कि you need to create a lot of lists. Okay, वो list create करने में ये comprehensions जो होते हैं, this comes really handy. Okay, I'll stop here probably for 2 or 3 minutes, maybe just to give you some time and also take some breath. So I'll expect some questions as well if you have some doubts regarding anything. What I'm explaining, are you understanding everything? So what I'm telling you, you must practice as well, because learning a lot of theory and then not putting it to practice, so ऐसा होता है कि you will sometimes forget things. So the best thing is whatever you learn today, just if you need to watch the video again, watch it again. If you want to read something about it, go and read things about it. और उसके बाद कोशिश करो problem solve करने की. So today I want to sort of wanted to wrap up this topic of loops, and I also wanted to cover functions. But I don't think that functions we can cover, but still I'll try to cover functions as well. Okay, do you have any question? क्या question है तुम्हें? Any generic question? Am I going fast, slow? Are you understanding everything? Okay, so let me start again. I hope that you are understanding everything what I'm telling you, and to put all of these things to practice. So you will have your projects, and I think you will do really good there, and you will have to put a lot of work in doing those things. It's not only being in the session and then just what I'm saying, just trying to memorize it. The thing is you have to practice as well. So another tool that comes in the advanced iteration is we have some package called as iter-tools. Okay. So iter-tool is basically as a module, or maybe we can say it as it's a package or a module that creates iterators. Okay. Especially when you want to do some complex things. For example, I'll just give an example. So in this module we have a permutation function. So what it does is, so if we have ABC and I want to see what are the all possible permutations of this. What is the meaning of a permutation? If I have ABC, so all the settings that I can put these three things together. I can write A like this, CAB, I can write A, CB, and so on. So these are called permutations. Okay. If I want to write all the permutations, why does this permutations matter in your password? Okay, most of you will be having a password as PIN for your phone, which usually a 4-digit PIN. So numbers there are from 0 to 9, and we want to compute all the permutations, and probably we'll write a program, and then we'll connect a device to your connect your device to a machine, which will check all the possible combinations and maybe unlock your phone. Let's just create this and go on the coding window and see how these permutations work. Okay, here I'll say, for example, I have a list. This I want to create a list of 0 to 9 because most of the phones they have PIN which is of the type numeric. So I'll use list comprehension x for x in range of 10, so that it covers till 9. So here I have used list comprehension. Now I want to see what are the all permutations of these. Let's say I'll call it passwords. Okay, I'll call them passwords. Well, that's how even hackers get to your devices. If you have a PIN, it's really 4-digit password. It has very less combinations, so we can create this combination on the fly, and maybe we can connect an external USB cable to your device and send this code to your screen, and it may check. In 1 second, it will check all your possibilities, and it will unlock the phone with any other possibility. Okay, let us just do this. You can see. So these are if we have, for example, these are the possible combinations with 0 to 9, but we just want to keep the 4 things basically. If there is only possibility of 4, we can also do that. Okay, so if you sometimes know, for example, a password, you might have seen some friend's password. It contains numbers like 1, 5, 6, 9, but you don't know what is the order of these numbers. So you can just create permutations. So you can check all of these password. If you अगर तुम्हें किसी पे शक है कि वो ये 4 digits उसने password रखे हैं, but I don't know कि कौन सा combination है, you can create all the combinations. And it hardly took a second. You can just say how fast it was. It hardly took a second or so. So these were total number of like permutations, total number of possibilities a password can be set. Okay, and we can write it a complex programs जहाँ पे हम लोग, this attack is actually called brute force attack. If you know, in computer networks we call it a brute force attack. So brute force attack में क्या होता है, हम लोग loop लिखते हैं कि हर possibility check करने की, because sometimes I know कि तुमने 6 digit का password रखा है, I'll say तो अगर तुमने 6 digits का password रखा है, I'll make every possible combination of 6 digits. तो उससे क्या होगा, and I'll create a list of passwords which I can send to your phone via a program, and it will simultaneously check all of these things to break it. Is this clear? Like how do we use these permutations? Okay. It's a really cool thing. Like for example, that's why sometimes people ask me question how to be a hacker. This is a frequently asked question to the people who are just starting with computer science, how to pursue hacking and things. The first thing to any computer science thing is you must know how to code. There is nothing inevitable. So you cannot evade this, and you cannot say I don't know how to code but I'll still be good at computer science. If you want to pursue any field, you must be good at coding. You must be good at how to talk with a computer. I just showed you a possible attack. How can you possibly attack a mobile phone? So just create a permutations, have a cable, let's transfer all of these and check all the possibilities together and maybe open the phone. Okay, so being a hacker basically does not mean anything. You basically want to exploit the systems, but for exploiting the system you must know how the system is working. तो उसके लिए तुम्हें पता होना चाहिए कि सिस्टम कैसे वर्क कर रहा है, then maybe you will write a code so that computer performs a task जो तुम्हें जिस चीज़ को तुम्हें exploit करना है. ये सिंपल सी चीज़ है. If you want to break a lock, तुम्हें पता होना चाहिए कि how lock works, और maybe मैं कौन सा tool use करूँ इसको मारने के लिए. So you have to learn how to use that tool. That's why this coding is necessary in computer science. Whatever you want to do in your life, so you cannot evict that. You cannot sort of bypass or surpass it somehow. So you must learn how to code and how to talk to computers. And there are other things in editor tools like combinations. We can create combinations. By combination I mean, for example, let's suppose you have red, green and blue and you want to see how many combinations are possible if I just take 2 colors. Okay, again taking the example of passwords, I am saying let's say here I have a list of 9, let's say 10 numbers, x for x in range of 0, 9, 0, 10. So it will create a list of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I want to make password combinations, and I want to take this as input, and I want to see how many 4-digit passwords are possible. So you can see it here. These are all the passwords if you see. Okay, there are only this much of number of possibilities. So if somebody is keeping a 4-digit password to his phone, it's really easy to break. Really easy to break. I'll say it'll hardly take 2-3 minutes if somebody knows coding. If somebody knows how to connect a device with USB cable, and he can write a code like this and maybe add some more lines so that it pushes the code towards your mobile device to check the passwords, so it will be easily breakable. If I want to see how many combinations are there, so I can just put a count is equal to 0. I can also say count plus plus, count plus equal to 1, and I can just print over here, print count. Okay, maybe I don't want to print the combinations, let's suppose. So there are only 210 possibilities which you can which you have with the 4 digits. If you have digits from 0 to 9, there are only 210 possibilities in the passwords. So if you are keeping a pin as your password on the phone, probably it's a bad idea, bad idea, because only 210 possibilities. It can be broken easily. That's how look how much fast it is creating. Like I'll just comment it out. Like just press enter, everything is done. But what if we had everything like ABCs and we had more characters in this list, then it becomes a little difficult. So that's why in the websites you might see, तो वो वहाँ पे क्या पूछते हैं, now they say कि password should have lowercase, then they should have uppercase as well, then they should have a symbol, then they should have a number. Okay, because they want to actually enlarge the range of passwords you want to keep, and it should be minimum 8 digits. तो वो ऐसा रख रहे हैं, it should be minimum of 8, I'll say 8 characters. Okay, because these possibles are really easy by using Python. So I told they are called brute force attack. So what is different between combination and permutation? In permutation, for example, this red green and green red is this basically is a different permutation. Okay, this green red and red green is a different permutation, but in combination, red and green is only one combination. So no matter how you switch them, for example, if I have to select two people, I can select first I'll select for example Amir, then I'll select Zahid. So if either time I'll select Zahid and Amir, it doesn't matter because still I'm getting the similar two people. That's meaning of the combination and permutations. Okay, I hope that this is clear how this iter tools can be used to generate a list of things and print permutations and combinations. Similarly, we can also use method like items. I hope you are not getting bored. Are you still there?
Yes, sir.
So you can also use methods like item. Item is actually a function which you can call. So for example, if you have a dictionary, so this is a dictionary. So dictionary.items means it will just bring out these items. For example, it will bring this Alice, then this Bob and 92, then this Charlie and 72, something like that. For example, name and grade. It will bring these two things together and assign it to name and grade. So how it will happen in computer memory is like this. So there is this list. Let's suppose this is the list that we have in computer memory. So when I press dot items, so what will happen is it will bring this Alice and 85 to me, and I'll assign this Alice to the name and this 85 to the grade in the first iteration. So it will say f names grade is this. So name, because name is Alice, so Alice's grade is 85 because this is a dictionary. Okay, because dictionary has key value pairs. If you see, this is key and this is value, it will bring key value pair together by using these items. So again, in the second iteration, it will assign this Bob to name and the 92 to this grade, and it will print Bob's grade is 92. Again, now in the third iteration, what will happen is this Charlie will get assigned to the name and 78 will get assigned to grade. Now we'll have Charlie's grade is 78. So this is done by using the items function. And this items function is applicable on the dictionary. So here this is actually an iterable. Iterable, which I discussed in the previous class, was the difference between iterable and iterator. So there is a difference between those two things. So वही मैं यहाँ पे बता रहा हूँ, if we have a dictionaries and there is a function called as items, by which you can get these items and assign it separate to these things. Now we have other function known as sorted. Why am I telling you all of these? Because there are a lot of other methods as well, but these are the frequently used things that we use. So ये बहुत ज़्यादा use होते हैं. So sometimes if I have a list which is unsorted, अगर यहाँ पे मैं बात करूँ, so we have this list is unsorted. By sorted I mean it should be either in ascending order or it should be in descending order. कोई order में होना चाहिए. If you see this list, there is no proper order. ना तो ये ascending में है, ना ये descending में है. So but what I want to do is I want to sort it first. So this sorted function can be used. Okay, you can just apply function and numbers. What is the difference between method and a function? So method and function, I'll use them interchangeably here. So if you tell me what is the difference, the difference is a little bit technical, which we will discuss when we discuss about object-oriented programming. Okay, so function is, it little bit has a formal definition, what is a function and what is a method. So method is usually used in the context of object-oriented programming senses. So please remind me when I go to this oops. So what is the technical difference between method and the function? So here till now I'll use them interchangeably, what a method and a function. So sorted में हम लोग क्या करते हैं? Sorted में हम लोग sort करते हैं list को. So this is a function which sorts the lists. So just go into the code window and see. तो यहाँ पे हमारे पास, there are a lot of posts. हाँ यहाँ पे. So if we have a list of numbers, so what I did is I had numbers. If I want to sort them, so I'll call this function sorted. So now if I want to print these numbers, so what will happen is print sorted numbers. Okay, so I'll print this sorted numbers. So if I enter, so you can see that they got sorted. Okay, so 1, 2, 4, it got sorted in increasing order. First we had 1. I think my screen is visible. So initially we had 4, 2, 7, 1, something like this. But we want this list in the sorted order. So we applied the function sorted over to this. Okay. Then we assigned it to this. If we just applied sorted, for example, we applied this function and we just wanted to change numbers, anything won't happen. because this won't change the original numbers. This basically will, if I print this sorted, for example, let's suppose I'll print this. I'll print this much. यहाँ पे एक बहुत अच्छा कॉन्सेप्ट निकल के आता है, दैट्स कॉल्ड इन प्लेस चेंज और आउट ऑफ प्लेस चेंज. आई टेल यू व्हाट दैट इज. तो हमारे पास एक लिस्ट ऑफ नंबर्स था, मैंने सॉर्टेड एक फंक्शन लगाया तो ऑन दीज नंबर्स. सो इफ आई सी जो नंबर्स मैंने प्रिंट किया वो ऐसे का ऐसा ही रहा, बट व्हेन आई प्रिंटेड दिस सॉर्टेड ऑफ नंबर इट गॉट सॉर्टेड. सो इट मीन्स ओरिजिनल लिस्ट में कोई चेंज नहीं हुआ. Original list was not changed at all. But what the sorted did is it took numbers and put them temporarily in a sorted order. But it did not change the actual numbers list. Am I clear with this? हाँ. So अगर हमारे पास list of numbers है and if I want to sort them, okay, in place, और मैं चाहता हूँ कि ये numbers भी change हो खुद में, then I have to assign it. The sorted should be assigned to numbers. Okay? Then only will this get changed. Now if you see it, now this numbers got changed. Okay? So that's the reason why we can use it in the for loop. So here I know that these numbers won't get affected, then the list won't get affected. So I am saying for I in sorted, I want to print them in sorted order. Okay? If I run this, you can clearly see. We printed the list in sorted order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but original list was 4, 2 and it still remained the same. Like list after even list, I'll say list after sorting, list after sorted function. तो list after sorted function बिल्कुल वही का वही रहा, it did not got changed. But जो sorted list हम क्या कर रहे थे, हमने यहाँ पे एक अलग से एक list को उसमें assign किया, that got changed and we got numbers one by one. Because sometimes we don't want to change the list, तो हम ये यहाँ पे change नहीं करना चाहते कुछ, and I don't want to print this line either. So I want to just print some things in order, but I don't want to change the original list. So I'll just print it. 1, 2, 3, 4 original list वैसे का वैसा रहा. It can be also done with numbers as well. For example, अगर मैं लिखूँ यहाँ पे we have Zahid and then we have Mahvish, then we have let's say Zubair. Okay, then and I want to let's add a name with A. Let's suppose we have Adnan with us. Now I want to sort this list. I want to print the names in the sorted order. So what will happen is the number which starts with A will get, it is lexicographical order. So if I press enter, you can say Adnan came first, then Mehvi second, then Zahid, then Zubair. Okay, I wanted to sort them in actual order. So if I want to reverse this order, so what I'll say, I'll just apply reverse function. There's a function reverse. So I think this should actually work. So reverse is not defined. We'll get to the reverse. What is the actual syntax? So there is a function reverse as well for the lists. So here I wanted to show you the sorted number. It does not do any change with the list itself, but it just temporarily sorts it and the list is unchanged. Okay, for example, here we have this. We have these numbers as well. So we can also implement set. Set means we only want to get unique numbers. So in here you have different repetitions. I think 1 is repeated multiple times and 6 is repeated. We want to get the numbers in sorted order and we don't want to get, for example, if we first want to get in sorted order and we want to get every number, let's suppose we want to get if there is repetition as well. यहाँ पे देख सकते हो 1 came 2 times, then we have 2, 3, 3, 4, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8. But we don't want to get these repetitions. As you know that set, it does not allow repeated elements. So it will remove the repeated elements. Now we've got 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, things like that. So are you clear how this sorted works now? Sorted, it does not actually do anything with the original list, but for temporary, it saves it somewhere in the memory and gives us the list. And I here wanted to tell you how the reversed works. So I can just call it's actually reversed it. It's not just reverse, it's reversed. So initially when there was no reverse, so I can just remove it first and show you that. You can say Adnan, Mehvi, Zahid, Zubair. Now if I reverse it, what will happen? It will be Zubair, Zahid, Mehvish, Adnan. So I am reversing the list. Again, if you see, there is no change in the original list. Reverse also works in the similar way. ये भी एक original list में कोई change नहीं करता. But temporary it creates a thing and we can access those things. But if we want to permanent change, we have to assign it. तो assignment statement इसीलिए ज़रूरी है. So sometimes you will feel कि यार मैं तो sort कर रहा हूँ पर ये original list में change क्यों है? Probably you missed the assignment statement. So reversed is the name of the function. Okay, I think reversed I have mentioned here it is. So reverse in function is used to reverse a thing. So for example, if I have this hello world message, a string, if I want to reverse it, I'll just say reversed of this message, then print each of the character. You can see that it got reversed. If I let us say, suppose this is called a palindrome, madam, because if I reverse it, it will be still madam. Okay, these are called palindromes. If I have, for example, something like some other thing, Kashmir. So if I want to reverse it, this is a string reversal. You can reverse anything. So it reversed it, as you can see it. Okay, and if I want to print the message, for example, if I want to print message, there will be no change in the message because we did not assign anything. Okay, so Kashmir still remained Kashmir. Okay, because there was no change in here. कि हम लोगों ने ओरिजिनल जो हमारे पास जो स्ट्रिंग था उसमें चेंज नहीं किया, बट दिस रिवर्स्ड एंड दिस sorted, they don't apply to the original things, they don't change the original things, they'll create new things till we don't assign them to something. We will lose them after a while. Okay, यहाँ पे हमारे पास same, we have red, green, blue, yellow. If I want to reverse these things in some order, so I can, for example, not in right now, not in order, so this red will come at the last, purple will come, for example, at the first. If I just reverse it, you can see purple, yellow, blue, so it just reversed the list. So that's the function how this reversed are being used in for loops, and this actually is a generic thing as well. It's not just for the purpose of for loops कि हम लोग for loops use कर रहे हैं और उसी में reverse use कर रहे हैं. You can use these reverse functions, sorted functions in a generic sense as well, but sometimes they are used with these for loops. I think now you have enough knowledge about loops. Loops के साथ कोई और functions भी use कर सकते हैं. Like, was it good at least? Like, do you found that you at least got some new tools जिनसे loops जिनसे हम लोग और loops को exploit कर सकते हैं? So we start with basic, bare bone basic of simple loops. तो उसके बाद कैसे advanced concepts आए loops में. But for this you have to revise it a lot. I know it's a lot of information that I'm throwing towards you. बहुत ज़्यादा information हो रहा है, and sometimes maybe you will be feeling overwhelmed as well. But that's why I'm keeping the recordings of these things. But I want you to at least इसको 2x करके, I think I am speaking on 2x though, 1.5x पे करके next बार जब तुम घर में हो तो सुनो. At least if you are sleeping, just put your headphones in और सुनते रहो ये चीज़ों को, and maybe then you will get this revision of good things. And उसके बाद revision के बाद then the thing is you will make good projects. Otherwise you will be stuck, क्योंकि मैं theory पढ़ा रहा हूँ, then you are not utilizing it somewhere, तो वो learning होगी नहीं. Maybe you will know the theory, but when it comes to the application part, you will be sort of lost in many other things. तो मैं यही बोल रहा हूँ, watch these recordings, I'll say in some much higher speed, maybe 1.5x speed. So usually our sessions are 1.5 hours long, or maybe sometimes 1.7 hours long. So if you just put a 1.5, it will hardly take you 1 hour, some minutes to just revise. If you are just doing some certain stuff, maybe you are going on some walk or something, just put your headphones on and just listen to these. Because here you were attentive while listening to me, and now you don't need to watch the screen again. So you can just put the phone in your pocket and then just listen to these things कि हम लोग जो बात कर रहे थे, and then you will have flashbacks of these कि अच्छा ये चीज़ ऐसे होती है, ये चीज़ ऐसे होती है. But I'll recommend you to revise it heavily. And inshallah I have to travel on November 14th to Kashmir. So I have to travel on November 14th. So I think after November 14th you will get your first project based on what was done till the loops. I think till here whatever was done, the assignment will be based on that. So I think it will be a good quality assignment, and be prepared with your GitHub accounts, because you will be pushing all those assignments, all those projects in your GitHub. Okay, so this will be your, I'll say, project 0. Project 0 means you are starting with Python and you want to learn it. So in Python I would like to give you 2 to 3 project sort of things, and inshallah when you will put your experience and hands on things what you are learning, and you will have a greater understanding of these topics. Because I have been coding since my class 6th. These things may seem easy to me, but I know that these things are not that easy. Like how I am telling, for example, I am sometimes being speedy and things like that. These things need time to sink in. उनको बहुत time लगता है कभी-कभी कि सोचने में, अच्छा ये ऐसे क्यों हो रहा है, ये ऐसे क्यों हो रहा है, ये ऐसे. And that's why you have to spend a lot of time with code. Okay? So maybe you are seeing my speed and you are saying, oh इसको तो easily समझ आ रहा है. The thing is I have been coding from my class 6. इसलिए I think it may look easy to me, but for you people I want you to spend more time with seeing the code, spend more time coding the things, and maybe getting errors, then fixing the errors. The more और यहाँ एक कोड भी है, if you spend 10,000 hours with something, अगर इतने घंटे किसी काम से स्पेंड करोगे, you'll become an expert in that field. So इसका मतलब अगर तुम 1 घंटा दोगे, that means 10,000 days. 10,000 days is a big number. Okay? So in a day, for example, 3 साल में हमारे पास 1000 दिन होते हैं. So it nearly means 30 years or so. So what I am saying is, you have to spend time with the code, and then you will get better at reading code, writing code. और code मैंने बोला ये हर जगह use होगा. It's not just for your AI/ML per se. Why am I spending so much time in this? क्योंकि ये जो है ये तुम्हारी base खड़ी करेगा. Any field you choose in computer science, you cannot bypass this coding. This is inevitable. This will come into your career. So that's why you must focus. The projects that you'll be given, please do not copy. Please. Because then there is no purpose of having this course. If you even get out of, for example, if you have 100, if you even get 20, but you get that on your own, feel proud that at least I did it on my own. I did not use plagiarism. I did not discuss things with any other. But you are free to discuss though. But write your own answers. Try to write your own code. Try to write your own answers. And I don't want, because you are no more kids, I want to do not copy. Otherwise, मैं तुम्हारे marks काट लूँगा. It's not like that. यहाँ पे ऐसा हो रहा है कि you are here to learn for yourself. So I expect you to show that character of a good student. कि मुझे plagiarize नहीं करना है, मुझे copy नहीं करना है. No, but because here I am here to learn. So I am not here to compete with other people. तो मेरा मकसद है कि मैं मेरी जो थिंकिंग में वो कितना वो सही आएगा, वो चीज़ें मेरी थिंकिंग में आनी चाहिए कि जो मैं चीज़ प्रोजेक्ट बना रहा हूँ या बना रही हूँ. So I hope you will do your projects on your own, and I think एक वीक में तुम एक प्रोजेक्ट एक्सपेक्टेड है तुमसे कि एक वीक में एक प्रोजेक्ट. सो दीज प्रोजेक्ट विल रफली टेक अराउंड, लेट्स से 10 hours or so, depending on the capabilities. Okay, I hope I made it clear. So तुम्हारे पास बहुत सारे tools अभी है. Just revise these lectures, otherwise they'll become really hurdle for you. अभी हमने कितने sessions किए हैं? Here we had only 5 sessions. तुम इनको binge watch कर सकते हो again. So if you want to binge watch this again, it will hardly take you less than a day. Again, try to watch them because you were in the sessions. एक बार पूरे again 5 lectures देख लो, and then go on this project number 0. Okay, if you have questions, I'm ready to ask questions. Otherwise, we'll leave the session. Do you have any questions? I think no. So it was really nice again having session with you, having an in-depth interaction. May God bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.